Hi everyone! I wanted to make this video just in case you wanted to listen to me read your problems for your performance test today. So just like I did yesterday, I posted two different versions of the performance task. I posted the interactive one where it means you can draw on the screen, like how I can use this pen here and scribble on my page. I posted a version where you can complete the activity like that. But if you do that version, you are not able to hear my voice, and you have to be able to either read the problems or have somebody next to you who could help you read whatever you need read to you. So I just wanted to make this video to go over reading our problems, and we will also check our answers at the end. So if you are watching this version, you are going to be using your notebook, your math workbook, on page 247. I just circled that page number at the bottom. And again, you can do this version, or if you want to do the interactive version, it's almost like our practice buddy where you can work on the screen. You can do that also, but again, there's no recorded voice with this, so you have to be able to read the problems or have someone who can help you read. But let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start by working on number 1. This is called a vase of flowers. Terry and his brother Dave put flowers in a vase for their mother. There are 5 roses, 5 daisies, 2 carnations, and 8 lilies. It tells us to complete the equation below to show the number of lilies and roses. Use the numbers and symbols. So we want to complete an equation below that shows the number of lilies and the number of roses. So let's look and see how many lilies are there. Let's look for the lilies. There are 8 lilies. It says lilies. And how many roses are there? Let's look for the roses. Here we are. There are 5 roses. Okay. And we want to complete the equation below to show the number of lilies and roses. So we want to see the total amount of roses and lilies that we have. When we look at the equation below, it says blank plus 5 blank blank. So we have a lot to fill in. We know that there are 8 lilies and 5 roses. When we look at our equation, we can see that there is a 5 there. This will stand for the number of roses. So in the first blank here, you will need to write the total number of lilies that there are. We underline the number here. So write the number of total lilies in the blank. Since we are adding 2 numbers together, we are going to want to find out what our total is. So I know we are going to have an equal sign at the end before we write our answer. So for number 1, I want you to write the total number of lilies in the first blank, and then what is the total number of lilies and roses all together. You will write that in the final blank. Now remember, you will have to pause the video as you are working. So now is a good time to pause the video to continue working on problem number 1. Problem number 2 says how many roses, daisies, and carnations are in the vase. So now you will need to look at the flowers again, and we want to see the roses, the daisies, and the carnations. We want to see how many of those 3 flowers are in the vase. So you will need to look at the flowers and see the number where it says how many of each flower there are, and fill it in the equation. You can show your work for how you added the numbers together using pictures, numbers, or words in the workspace below. On number 3, it says, Terry puts the roses and daisies in the vase. Dave puts the carnations and lilies in the vase. Did they put an equal number of flowers in the vase? Complete the equation. So what you are going to do, you are going to use the flower chart that we saw in the beginning. First, look at the roses and daisies that Terry put. So look on your chart for the roses and the daisies and write the number in the first 2 blanks. So write the number of roses and the number of daisies. Then you will look at the carnations and lilies that Dave grabbed, and you will write the number of carnations and the number of lilies. So it says it here on the chart. So here are the roses, the daisies, the carnations, the lilies. So after you write in the number of each flower, then you will add your numbers of roses and daisies together and write your total in the blank. Then you will add your number of carnations and lilies and write that number in the blank. If both of these numbers are the same, then yes, they put an equal number of flowers. And if these numbers are different, then no, they did not put an equal amount of flowers. So you have to finish filling in the blanks in this equation to find yes or no. Next, on number 4, it says, Dave says there are 3 more daisies than carnations. What equation can he use to find out if he is right? So Dave says there are 3 more daisies than carnations. What equation can he use to find out if he is right? Let's see. There are 5 daisies and 2 carnations. So how can we write it in an equation to find out if he is right? So write the equation that Dave could use to see if he was right. We already have 5, which is the number of daisies on the chart. So if he is saying there are 3 more daisies than carnations, he could also be saying that there are 3 less carnations than daisy. So I will give you the hint that your equation will have subtraction in it. So write an equation to see if Dave is correct that there are 3 more daisies than carnations. And fill in your answer. Remember to pause the video as needed. Terry says that if there were 2 fewer lilies, then the number of lilies would be equal to the number of daisies. He writes the equation below. Is this equation true or false? 8 minus 2 equals 5. So for number 5, you can write true or false. Is the equation 8 minus 2 equals 5? True or false? If this is right, write true. And if this is incorrect, write the word false. For the last one on number 6, it says Terry and Dave buy more carnations. Now they have 10 in all. How many carnations did they buy? Complete the equation using a plus sign, a minus sign, or an equal sign. So let's look and see. There were 2 carnations to start with, and now they have 10 in all. So our equation says 10 blank 2 blank 8. Let's think, if we started with 2 and now we have 10, did we add or subtract? So in our equation, these 2 symbols need to be filled by either a plus or minus sign and an equal sign. So what symbol would go where? Think of the 2 numbers that you had to add together to get the total of 10 in all. Remember to pause the video as needed. If you are still working, now is a good time to pause. In a couple of seconds, I'm going to start going over our answers, so make sure you pause the video if you need to. Alright, if you are playing this part of the video, that means you are ready to start going over your answers. If you are not and you're saying, whoa, hold on, go ahead and pause the video now. Alright, so with all of our vase of flowers work we were doing, on number 1 we wanted to complete the equation below. We wanted to show the total number of lilies and roses. So we already had the 5 for 5 roses, so we needed to write 8 for the 8 lilies. I changed my pen size a little bit. And then we needed to add together 8 plus 5. Then our symbol would say equals, and 8 plus 5 equals 13. All right, let's look at number 2. On number 2, we wanted to write how many roses, daisies, and carnations were in the vase. So you were to look at this chart here and see, okay, there were 5 roses, and there were 5 daisies, and there were 2 carnations. So it wanted you to add together 5 plus 5 plus 2. So you could use this whole workspace down here to show your work using pictures, numbers, or words. I think I'm going to show it using my numbers. So I'm just going to rewrite my equation at the bottom. And I'm going to start solving this. I'm going to start solving by adding together 5 plus 5. I know 5 plus 5 is 10. And plus 2 is equal to, let's see, 10 plus 2 gives me 12. So you could write your work in the bottom. I use numbers, but if you wanted to show pictures, if you do pictures of flowers or pictures of your counters, you could also do that too. But our answer for number 2 is 12. On number 3, we wanted to show an equation that showed that Terry puts the roses and daisies in the vase, and that Dave puts the carnations and the lilies in the vase. So you would need to use your flower chart in order to solve this problem. So first, I'm going to start with the roses and the daisies and find them on the chart. So Terry put the roses. So there are 5 roses. There are 5 daisies. So that is my first equation. Now I want to write my second equation where Dave puts the carnations. So there are 2 carnations and lilies. There are 8 lilies. So now that I've filled in my equation, 5 plus 5 equals 2 plus 8, I want to solve my equations. So first I'm going to solve for Terry's side. So I needed to solve 5 plus 5, which gave me 10. And I also needed to solve 2 plus 8, which also gave me 10. So did Terry and Dave put an equal number of flowers in the vase? Yes, they both put 10 flowers. For number 4, it says Dave says there are 3 more daisies than carnations. Write an equation he can use to find out if he is right. So he put the number 5 to show the number of 5 daisies. And we said that when there are 3 more of something, it can also be saying there are 3 less. So we're going to subtract. And we are going to subtract the 3 that Dave says there would be. Then we would solve for 5 minus 3, which gives us 2. For number 5, I wanted you to write if this equation 8 minus 2 equals 5 was true or false. So for number 5, this equation is false. This equation is false. 8 minus 2 does not equal 5. We could explain how we know by writing the correct number below. We could show that 8 minus 2 is actually equal to 6. We could double check our work by saying 6 plus 2 is equal to 8. And we see that it's in the same fact family, so this is correct. And for number 6, I just wanted you to fill in the missing symbols for our equation here. It said that Terry and Dave buy more carnations. Now they have 10 in all. So they started with 2 and now they have 10. So in our equation, we would write 10 is equal to 2 plus 8. And then there were 8 more carnations. All right, so that will bring us to the end of our review activity for today. This is our last review activity before we take our practice test and then our test on Friday. I know we have been reviewing a lot for topic 5, and thank you all for working so hard. I know that all of this hard work is going to pay off. Again, if you have any questions at all about anything that we've been reviewing, please let me know.